Hello and welcome to Risk Awareness Now Year in Review: Attacks, Attacks, Breaches, and Data Leaks. And we had a lot of them in 2025. And we've got an amazing, incredible expert panel who all joining me as fellow NICE cybersecurity career ambassadors, and NICE being the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, which is part of NIST, our National Institute of Standards and Technology. And we've got a lot to go over today and really excited for all of it. I'm going to just go through and just start by introducing our panel members. And this is a just over 4-hour session, and we'll have 5 dedicated sessions beyond our first 30-minute intro. And if you haven't yet registered for Luma, please do. That link is in the description. And then we will be able to send you from there to the different sessions and just make it as seamless as possible. You'll also find that link toward the end of every session in the chat. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it around to our panel members. And when we're done, I'll sort of reintroduce myself as well. So Durs, great to have you here. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Felipe.
All right, your sound is not quite, I'm not quite hearing you as clearly or as loudly as I think we would love to.
Can you hear me?
You're low.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, beautiful.
Hello, everyone. James Fernandez here. This career security ambassador, looking for a conversation with the panel here regarding retrospective on 2025 and retro on the AI space. Thank you.
Great. Frank.
Everybody, I'm Frank Lupinko, retired Master Sergeant from the United States Air Force. Looking forward to just being part of this, learning from you all, sharing my experiences. I have a lot of experiences. I can tell you what not to do, and hopefully we can all learn and become a better community for it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Sherry.
Good day. My name is Sherry Duncan. I'm an information security leader. Today, we're going to talk about identity access management and privilege access management.
Fantastic. John.
Yeah, hi everybody. Happy to be here. Cybersecurity program manager, over 20 years, Navy vet. Just really passionate about helping the next set of cybersecurity professionals. So really, just happy to be here and share our experience. Thanks.
I love that. Okay. So, yeah, I just want to do some sort of overviews and kind of key takeaways because we've all sort of been seeing this, living this as professionals, but then also when you sort of just even do a deeper drive. And I love these sessions because sometimes they just kind of even just focus our research a little bit more. I think one of the things that I saw a lot of, is just, and I think we're just seeing in how these attacks and breaches and data leaks are being reported, is just the proliferation of AI, and then also machine identities, and then identity being the breach. I think are some of the key themes that we've seen. Is that kind of resonating with you and things you'd like to confirm or sort of add to that? Durs?
Yeah, I mean, in my session, I'm definitely going to be talking about the retrospective on different things that happened in 2025. Deepfakes, phishing situations with AI or powered by AI were pretty big last year. So yeah, definitely looking to talk about that more here with the panel. But definitely, like you said, proliferation of AI and you know, you know, offensive security. People needing to account for AI into their playbooks and building in their cyber threat hunting programs, things of that nature. So yeah, that's what I saw, and some of the different things that are happening, and moving into 2026, right? I mean, more of the same, and just different things with Clawbot and things like that of the AI kind of eliminating the humans from being in the room and kind of taking over a Reddit post, right? I mean, so you can only imagine if they do that within your own enterprise or your own network space, which sounds scary. And these are the sorts of things we need to kind of avoid moving forward. Thank you.
Yep. Frank?
Yeah, I guess my session is going to be a little different. We're going to focus more on the human aspect of it. Defense at work is a little bit different. Like AI is a big part of it, but with the introduction of the CSF 2.0 governance and things like that, doesn't just because AI is here doesn't exclude us from, properly governing our enterprises. And we're going to be discussing like how to go about that, the effects of not doing that, and honestly how these breaches and all these compromises could have possibly been avoided. I'm not going to ever say I was part of the red team for DISA, and you give us enough time, we can get into anything. But at the same time, we'll go over into give you a quick example. If you're a thief and you go up to two cars and they're exactly the same, and one's locked with a security system, and the other one's open with the keys in the ignition, which one are you taking? And that's going to be kind of the mentality for our defense in work.
I love that. Sherry.
With me, we're going to talk about the 5 A's and why it's important regarding the 5 A's and identity access management. I always tell people our identity is our first line of defense, and we need to definitely protect that.
Yeah, absolutely. What about John? Now, you obviously, yeah, and I share kind of an interest in the federal, and you have lots of experience in federal. I'm new to sort of coming into that space, and I'm excited to hear sort of how you sort of hear and see these things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to piggyback what Frank and Sherry said about, identity is the perimeter. It truly is, and we have to go. I feel like we can go back to basics, meaning like multi-factor authentication, third-party management, segmentation, things like that, because AI is just allowed these attacks to get faster and more effective. Honestly, the way you can aggregate your data, you're not getting a spam with broken English or things like that. You're getting something that they read your LinkedIn file. They've got your Reddit handle. So we have to be better, but there's ways to mitigate it and, just executive support, things like that, which, we'll go over. But the defenses are getting better. We're using AI for both the attack and the defense, but the human's the weak link. And that's just resonating more and more. Thanks.
Definitely, you mentioned LinkedIn, and a couple years ago,
Yep.
remember someone put their employee ID. I think it was someone from MGM, and that's how they were breached. Like, who puts their employee ID
Yep.
on?
Yeah, you'll see cat cards. People taking pictures with cat cards on. It's like, come on, really?
Yeah.
Put it,
Right.
take it off.
Yep. And then the ramifications, right? The accountability. To me, that's the word that is missing is accountability now, because we just don't have it. We live in a world of we get to point fingers at each other, and if everybody's responsible, then no one's responsible, and we're getting away with it. So
Yeah.
And then I'm over here in law school, and law school is basically we're just reminded every day how the laws just don't keep up with technology. And so the whole
Absolutely.
governance layer and even our laws are made through the regulatory path, and most legislators don't even understand it, or they're made through case law, and you have to go through litigation to get there to get that law to be created. So when you look at the lawmaking process, it's not there. It's not there at all. And so we have to back to that governance piece of it. Kind of have to write
Yeah.
our own, which is why I think it's so important, and I just appreciate getting to have this sort of brain trust today with you all as professionals and leaders, and sort of sharing with each other, so that you're all going to have your individual sessions, and this is our opportunity to really just have that conversation as you guys know
Yeah.
each other, but also get to sort of dig in a little more. So continue on as you are able to sort of comment on each other's comments, because I think you're onto something.
Yeah, I definitely want to ask Frank this question because I mean I would kind of push back on some of the accountability aspects. For example, we saw know before security awareness training program company hire someone didn't do the right vetting that was ended up in North Korea identity or somebody from North Korea, and then Frank, this lady rented a space in her apartment to have all these laptop farms where people would log in, right? And she actually got prosecuted for that, right? And so
Absolutely.
there's prosecution around that sort of thing. She claimed she didn't know what was happening. Like she just claimed she was doing something for a side hustle and a side job, and maybe it is that case. But she needs to leave. She didn't do her due diligence to understand what it is that she was procuring access to. So I mean, so I wanted to talk to Frank about that. What his thoughts? Did he do any research on that side from the prosecution accountability? And it was not really around regulatory statutes. It was more about crime and more about a point in time, things that the investigators were able to find. And then more, I just heard a CISO from a major company yesterday account for that whole North Korean thing with no before. So they're looking at that as they're onboarding and vetting their employees as new employees into the organization. So that's a really interesting thing.
It is, but who cares? Honestly, like I'll be very honest with you. When it comes to all of that stuff, it's happening too late, and it's too much in the past. I really really believe, and I can tell you as a red team member, we would take like we have bean counters, right? Yeah, and these companies have bean counters, and these people are extremely smart, and AI is extremely smart, and they're smart enough to know, like, oh man, here are the ramifications. Is it worth it? And those are the questions that people are too scared to kind of like answer, or they're too smart and they're like, yeah, it's worth it. Hell yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna let all these people in on this, and I'm gonna let people have access to this information because what are they gonna do to me? What are they gonna? Just a great example. You look at Deion Sanders' son, right? During the draft, his son got a phone call from a what was it? It was a general manager from one team, and it was a joke. It was a freaking joke, and they did it, and that's not cool, right? It's not cool.
Yeah.
I think every single one of us here will say that kid should have gotten his ass kicked. But what happens was that the team gets fined $50,000, and that's it. And it goes away. Now,
Yeah.
had that happened, let's say, look at the ramifications. Had that happened in Europe with the GDPR, that would have cost them $1.5 million. And there would have been an escalation metrics to it. So for me, when I look at the United States, it's not that I don't think that there's accountability not taking effect. It's just that no one really cares about the accountability. They're just like, you know what, this is worth it. I'm going to move forward. And we, as cybersecurity professionals, we need to acknowledge that. We need to acknowledge it, and we need to kind of step up, like multi-factor authentication. Security is not supposed to be simple. It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to suck. Like, and we all kind of drew that short straw. I'll tell you right now, in the United States Air Force, I drew the short straw. I make a joke of it because I had to go to the security side. Not fun. Everybody hates me for it, but it is what it is. So when I think about accountability, I start thinking about accountability a little. I think a little different, not about the actual ramifications that may take place, but accountability in regards to like what are the actions, what are the ramifications of not taking any actions, or the accountability to say, hey, dude, because I'm pretty sure when we start thinking about identity access that like Sherry's going to go into, a lot of what happens is that there's no accountability. Like no one's ultimately held responsible, so no one's going to want to go and do multi-factor authentication. That's the accountability that I kind of
Yeah.
want to, to me, that's the human factor accountability. Hope that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's so sad. One of my friends' bank account got hacked, and most criminals are dumb criminals, and they had something sent to their house, so they went to the house to try to press charges, this and this, da da da. And when the cops came, they're like, "There's no law against this." What do you mean there's no law? My identity
Yeah.
was taken.
Yeah.
So you got to help the day to day people as well as corporations to protect their identity.
Yeah,
Yeah. The laws really have
it's
to catch up.
honestly, yes, and honestly, it's hard. I'll tell you guys right now. I actually have like we're in the process of kind of going through software proprietary, protecting some of our software and stuff. It sucks. Like I honestly think the laws are like they told me like it's gonna cost you 50 grand up front. And then anytime you make an update to your piece of software, you almost have to redo the 50 grand. I was like, we're like, this is ridiculous. Come on, man. You got to help us, So ultimately, we think we
Uh,
kind of have to help each other, right? We have to help ourselves.
Frank, was that a SBOM inventory? Was that an SBOM, software bill of materials engagement, or what kind of? That's a very interesting. I never heard that before. That's crazy.
Oh no, it's just a piece of software that, Felipa has seen it, like the piece of
Hmm.
software that my organization, that my company kind of created, and then you want to protect it, right? You want to protect what's yours, and then you start to go to protect it, and then it's like you just kind of get slapped in the face with all these, different kind of requirements and stuff. Ultimately, you kind of have to make a choice. You can see where like the big boys, right? I won't even mention their names because I don't want to get in trouble or I don't want to be put on a list or anything, but they can afford it, right? These guys can afford to pay 50 grand almost weekly to update their code. I'm not there yet. Maybe one day.
No, you're right though, Frank. They're monetizing it the wrong way because, like you said, the big players, and you see that a lot in business, and it's a shame because we should. Like, who would do it though? That's the thing, because you don't want the U.S. federal government to do it because, in all honesty, yeah, hey, it is what it is. Like, you don't want a DMV situation, but yeah, it's a shame because I love Let's Encrypt and things like that. But I know the code signing, and I'm not on the software side, but the code signing, they've made it more and more difficult. And I mean, at the end of the day, too, when I hear us talking, I always say this: security is a business decision, and they don't like
Yes.
hearing it.
Yep.
But that's the first thing, because what's the first department that gets cut? Oh, we haven't had a ransomware attack in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, how many
Yeah.
security folks do we have? And then all of a sudden, 6 months later,
Layoffs.
it's
Yep.
yep,
Wait, you're telling me I have to buy two iPads, one for my daughter and one for me? No, I just want one and let her
yeah,
install our games while I
yep,
have all this PII information on it. I mean, yeah.
yeah.
If you don't mind, John, I'm going to steal that from you because I love that. Security is a
No,
business. I
I
love it.
mean, it took me years because as security folks, and you see some of the junior folks, I try to help them out. You don't walk in with a sledgehammer. You come in with a scalpel. What's the most important RMF document? I think is a business impact analysis. What is a business here to do? What am I here to support you with? It's not like if you're not in the IT, if you're not Google, your IT it's sucking funds out of your organization. So
Yes.
let's talk to
Yep.
the executives. Let's find out what you need to do. Maybe we don't need that. We don't need this type of cloud instance. We don't need this
Yeah.
software. We don't, what's the
Yeah.
bare minimum what we need, and then go from there.
People are
But
like choosing, they'd rather have cool AI agents than a really good firewall. You know what I
yep,
mean? And that's sad, right? Like, what the
Hmm.
hell, man? And again, coming from the military side, I was spoiled. Yeah, I didn't realize like how spoiled we are in the military. You have like four different firewalls before you get to. We
yeah,
hate it, right? Because it makes it a little slower and to go
yeah,
through so many proxies and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, we don't really have a lot of these problems. You know,
yeah,
coming out of the military, I thought everybody had a CAC. So like,
yeah.
what?
And that's one of the
No,
things the
what's going
military.
on?
I'm telling you that CAC, the PIV, that and digital signatures are the two things that
Yep.
the U.S. federal government has done that's incredible because,
Yeah.
like the digital signatures, like we're going to talk about deepfakes and stuff. Like if you can prove the integrity, I can open that email from, I'm an Air Force guy. I can open up the email from the Navy guy because it's digitally signed. We
Yeah.
all, that's a whole nother thing. Got to make sure,
Mm.
SCPs are sound, and that's a whole, but yeah, it just, yeah, there's a lot to, yeah, but the government really
And
does get that right.
yeah, and it kind of goes towards what you were saying. Is it Dursey? Am I saying it
Dear,
right, bro?
dear say, yeah, you got it. Yeah, you're good.
Dursey, Dursey. I can roll my R's. Cool, bro. Hey, but like, yeah, I'll tell you, it's just kind of this. It goes towards that accountability, right? Because in the military, man, like that non-repudiation, it's a big deal, bro.
That's what I was
Oh,
thinking.
That's
I was thinking
big
about
deal.
yeah.
non-repudiation. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm also inspired by what you're saying is if we think about like how our world also got more insecure last year was vibe coding. Like we used to have software developers who knew how to develop secure code. Now we have millions of more developers who have no idea how to develop secure code. So our apps and sites are being generally AI generated, by people who don't quite know how to close the loop on that. I will even say myself included, as I was a baby developer learning, I had no idea how to like hide my secret keys when I first started. And I think there are a lot of people who don't because vibe coding does not tell you that.
Yeah, I just talked to a few CISOs this week, Philippa, and they basically, they were talking to the younger folks. Those are people that are coming up, and they basically said, don't even look at learning programming and coding. Like, focus on data science, focus on context, right? Context engineering more than the actual coding, because now the AI, the vibe coding, is doing all that on them and for them, right? So if you're learning coding now, you're already behind the eight ball. So to hear executives at that strategic level saying that to those folks, I mean, it hit me too, because I'm not a programmer by trade, but I mean, I work with developers and making sure their CI/CD pipelines are tight. They have controls. They're running their scans within the pipelines. But for them to say that to students was really eye opening. So yeah, definitely hear the vibe coding situation there.
Because you have to, as an engineer, a developer, you have to know code. AI is not right, as you know,
Yeah.
it's not accurate all the time, but you got to understand that code to know that it's not accurate or right. So that person needs
Mm.
education.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's scary. But
Mhm.
again, I think that goes to what you were saying, John, that it's a business.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? We're not looking at it as like a life cycle, even. You know what I mean? We're just looking at
Yeah.
it as transactional. It's like, well, here, one to one. Like, I don't care. Like what we notice in the military is the introduction to the cloud has convoluted accountability. Like
Yeah.
we've gone from like knowing exactly who we call it poke them in the chest. Like we could poke somebody in the chest in the military and
Yeah.
say, you did this, you're responsible for this. Now it's like, okay, it's in the cloud. Who's responsible for providing these assessments?
Yeah.
Uh, Not me. And again, when
Yeah.
when it's all not me, then no one is until shit hits the fan, right?
Yep.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
trying not to cuss, but
Yeah.
I'm retired military,
Yeah.
Felipe. You can't get mad at me.
No, after the incident, it's too late because that's what everybody's like. Oh, I thought Azure was going to take care of that. Where's the shared responsibility model, the contract? Because it goes to legal. And I like what we're talking about AI, the vibe coding. It's a great bit. I see it as it's a lot more. It's a tool. It's a tool, but it can be used as a weapon if it's incorrect. If you hand a tool to a skilled craftsman, master carpenter, you're going to get a beautiful, some beautiful woodwork out there. You hand it to a 10-year-old, you better hope there's no other kids around. It's just, it's, and I love the vibe code. I mean, I'm starting to get into it. I'm running my own Claude bot now, but I have it isolated. It's on its own machine. I have the thing locked down, and I'm slowly opening it up to the world. Where, and Joyce, you're absolutely right. When you hear some of these executives, oh, we're not hiring junior programmers, this and that. It's vibe coding's great, but people are rolling this stuff into production. And Frank, just you being on a red team, are you seeing it now that when you go rules of engagement, they'll go through that, and it's so scrutinized. Whereas I've talked to organizations, they're throwing AI tools in, and I was like, do you know what that does? Do you know what it's giving you hooks to? Oh, we just gave it root. Good luck with that. So
Like, yeah, right? Like, yeah, we just give it backslash. What?
yeah,
Like, what? Like, what are we doing here, guys? Like it is sad. I can tell you. So I was actually fortunate enough to be on the red teams before we had rules of engagement. You know what I mean? So
wow,
for
okay,
us, it
yeah,
was like get in, and that was fun, right? Because ultimately, we would send a dumb email out, and somebody would click it.
yeah,
Like you said, right? The greatest vulnerability to any network is the human.
Mhm.
So
absolutely,
but like we didn't have the rules of engagement, and then they started putting in the rules of engagement. It kind of sucked. It kind of took the fun out of it, to be honest with you. So yeah, I totally see it with AI. They're just like, yeah, we just let our AI do
I'd
that.
run
And you're
wild.
like, okay, like they're not even monitoring their bots. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like who's changing? If somebody changes something, how do you know? Like
yeah,
what? We can know? I'm like, dude, this is scary. I like
yeah,
for me, AI is and I tell this to everybody, is like AI, as you guys know it, has been around, let's say the last 5 years. what do you think the military has been doing with it? Like, do you honestly think the United States government is going to allow something to go out in the wild without it having its say
Yeah.
first? Hell no. Like hell no. Like we've been playing with that for like ever. And again, I still tell this to everybody. It was made for like hacking before defense. Like you guys need everybody needs it was made
Yeah.
for offensive purposes way before it was made for defensive purposes. The defense is the business side of it, right, John? Like, oh yeah, we
Yeah.
can make money off of
Yeah.
telling people to use this for the defense. But offensively, man, that's been going on for like
Yeah.
ever. And that should scare the hell out of everybody.
Yeah.
And actually, why do I think it? I don't know, John, if you said this in a previous session, but somebody mentioned it where the idea, of all these agents and agents are doing things. Now they have agent marketplaces. And see, now you just set up a scam website to sell the thing that the agent has been tasked to go buy.
Yeah. And they're talking to each other. They have their own
Yeah.
like Reddit pages, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. But yeah, it just goes back to your like, how does this support my business? Does the organization know? And I know we're probably all thinking this, but when we do supply chain risk, we do the third party risk. I'm talking to these vendors. I was like, you using AI? Yeah, I think so. What is your program doing with the data I'm feeding into it? Is it using it for training? Is it because it's scary? And you see some people, I've talked to people that are uploading W-2s in a chat GPT. And I'm like, do you know what it does? Like if you read the rules of engagement, not rules of engagement, I'm sorry, the user,
But
The
everybody clicks
EULA.
through.
The EULA.
Exactly,
you know,
exactly. Like somebody was telling me the one Netflix has those houses, and I shouldn't even probably say this, but those like the user agreement, they said, I heard that they said they can use your likeness. So they're taking pictures of you and just the AI can use your likeness. So in the next Stranger Things, you see yourself in the background. It's like, yeah, but you signed it away. But these companies are using these tools. They don't even know what it does. Like, what are you doing
yeah,
with our data? And Frank, I love the way you said, I really hope in time when our elected officials get a little younger, maybe, and, into, have a little idea of what technology is just, we need something like GDPR in this country. We really do. Because I like what you said about that phone call. That person, that should have been like fraud. That should have been some kind of
yeah,
fraud. Because what a
Hmm.
shame to do that to a young person like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You're like on the cusp of your career.
Yeah,
Nah, you shouldn't. In 50,000, I like what you said. Yeah, it should have been something like, let's take a draft pick from you next year. See how funny it is
yeah.
now.
Hell yeah, right? Yeah. What's even scarier to me with AI is like AI is like built off of like just massive amounts of data, right? And I don't know about you guys, but I kind of grew up with the sandlot theory, where you
Hmm.
have like a whole bunch of kids, that if they
Yeah.
all grew up in the same sandlot, they'd all grow to love each other, right? And there wouldn't be any racism. The problem with AI to me, especially like in the DoD, and one of the things that really concerns me is if you teach a kid a bad things, they'll be bad people. So with AI, if you're limiting the amount of information that they get, or you're filtering where the information comes from, it's not as diverse as it should be, so it's not going to learn as well as it could be, right? So then you start to get like these like, well, this is what you wanted, right? So because they're smart, right? They'll tell you what you need, and if you have two data streams and they're both ugly, you're going to get ugly
Yeah.
data, but
Garbage
it'll
in,
look
garbage
really
out.
good.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Reddit.
yeah, and
Reddit's a great
I,
source.
Yeah.
yeah, right, yeah, and again, we're kind of in this world of wanting to be around the people that agree with you, and I think with
Yeah.
with AI, we need to really acknowledge that no, man, it needs to be diverse. It needs to be diverse as diverse as we are. Because trust me, like, I love sitting around and talking cyber with people, and I love sitting around talking cyber with people who don't always agree with
Yep.
me.
You learn
Because
I
that's
more.
how
mean,
you learn,
I
right?
mean,
That's how you learn. And
I think we just saw it with Anthropic pushing back on the government, and then all of a sudden, 3 hours later, OpenAI is like, "Hey, we want to do
Yep.
business. Here you go." Right? So, like to John's point, it's all about the business, all about the bottom dollar. But unfortunately, there's a lot of risks in handling things from a dollars and cents perspective. Let's just say that.
yeah,
And I think the government's a really interesting conversation. I think a conversation for another time, because I know that
Hmm.
both Frank and John, you talked to me about CMMC, and
Yep.
going deeper down that. And I'd love to have another event where we can kind of do deeper dives into that, because I am so curious, and I think other people are too. Where is the government slow on adoption? They should be adopting faster. So when I talk to people at the NGA, they're like, well, why bother with GeoAI? Like, we don't care. Like, we just do it by hand. It would just take us longer to apply AI and then check the AI, and we can just do it our old fashioned way. We're not going to change. And then you got DoD saying, yes, let's unalive people without any, sort of human in the loop on that. And so I think it's interesting to see where they're going too fast and where they're going too slow, and on how to a lot. So, and I love, again, thank you all for being here, because I just think these are such important conversations to have. I don't see them happening other places, so I wanted to gather us all here to have this conversation. I think it's incredibly important, and I'm so excited for all of your presentations. And so we're going to jump into the next session. Jersey, uh, I don't roll my R's yet to learn how to.
You're good, Philippa. That was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited
What are
to
you
jump
gonna
into
do?
your session. So we're going to meet you over there.
Yeah.
And you are, let me actually, I'm just
So
going to ask
can
everybody.
we just like, can I just put it out there real quick? Like,
Yeah,
I'm not
please.
too
Like,
good
let's,
at what uh, I'm not too good at what the word it is. So like, if there's like, I'm using AI and spell check and everything, but don't get mad at me if it's like if it's not perfect. All right, man.
no, it's all good. I mean, here's the thing is, to me, it's like, I'd always rather you show up and we do it imperfectly than not have shown up at all. And then it's always an iterative process. We just, and then what I love about this is I thank everybody who joins us live, and then we go back and we edit it and clean it up and make it beautiful. So for everything we produce,
Oh,
there's also like clean short clip versions of everything, and then we turn into blogs and just other like kind of key takeaways. And so love to sort of profile our speakers in lots of other ways. And so it's a community and team effort, and I really appreciate everybody's time and dedication here today to bring this into what I refer to as the public square. Because people always say, look at me and saying, "Oh, you like to teach?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah," but I don't teach in an academic situation. I'm the public square person. I like to just bring knowledge and education into, um, yeah, the mainstream conversation and make it completely accessible. So
Each
with
one,
that,
teach one.
Yep.
mhm.
Yeah.
And I'll close it out on when we talk about the importance of training AI, and also think that reasons why I think it's important for this to be in the public square and not gate this information is it's also representation. It's representation of gender, it's representation of ethnicity and culture, and private sector, public sector, just the application, all the different disciplines that are part of cybersecurity. I often talk to people who have nothing to do with cybersecurity or don't think they do, and they're just doing their job or their life, and I chit chat with them, and I'll ask them questions like, "Well, do you have a code on your phone?" And they're like, "Well, of course." I'm like, "You're doing cybersecurity." And then that, like, you just see that light bulb go off in their mind, and they smile and they're like, "Oh wow, like I thought it was this very deep complicated thing," which it is, that they had no access to. And then you make it so personal that they're like, "Oh, I totally have access to this, and I can be responsible for what I can be responsible for." It's like, yes, absolutely. So I'm definitely on a campaign to make sure there's great representation within the cybersecurity industry and AI industries, as well as making it real and accessible for everybody. They can do their part.
Definitely.
And with that, we are so excited to jump into our first session. Actually,
So
exactly where we're
Philippa,
going. AI enabled attacks from novelty to default tactic
all right.
is
So I'm
where
gonna
we.
exit. I'm gonna exit out of this one and join the other one.
That
All right.
sounds great. We'll see you all
Thank
there.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.